So I think maybe we will just go ahead and get started. As we settle into our meditation seat, I find it's always useful to conjure some energy, some inspiration. Typically, I do that by looking at the faces of all of my lamas who are on my altar around my room and developing a sense of gratitude for their presence. How wonderful it really is to, in my life, have met so many highly realized beings. And then to realize, as we talk about the foundation of the tantric path, the foundation is the sutra path, really, the three principal aspects of the path. And to recall those, the more we study the sutra path, the more we're able to recognize that actually the sutra path, when I say, you use your dharma tools, right? You fill your dharma tool belt. I'm talking about all those aspects of the sutra path. For instance, precious human life. Okay, so start there. Or guru devotion. Oh, how fortunate I am to have met this path. Do I want to waste it? Now I have this precious human life. So whenever difficult states of mind come, whenever there's grasping desire or ignorant aversion, we can use those. We can say, oh yeah, I do want. I see that. I'm in the desire realm and I have a precious human life here. So I have the potential to cut through that and see emptiness directly. I have the potential to do that. So usually having an understanding of the whole Lamrim outline, really getting to know it. Personally, for I think 12 years, I would do a January retreat. Once a month, I started doing these January retreats, and once a year. And each month, I took one Lamrim topic. I started at the beginning, and I just took one Lamrim topic. And then I had several different texts, different commentaries from different teachers. And I would get up in the morning with my cup of tea, and I would sit down, and I would read a few paragraphs from each of the lamas on that particular topic. And I took notes. So when it came to the 10 qualities of a guru, I took notes. So I had the 10 qualities in I have my own little binder, my own little spiral notebook that has my own Lamrim. And I left a page blank on the left so that as I went through, if I would read a text, some inspiring text, and it brought to mind death, something about death, I would go back to the place where I wrote about death, and I would put it off to the left, this quote that I had found so inspiring. And unfortunately, and I could tell you, since you're young and you might do it, I didn't put the page number and the book title. I put the who said it, but I didn't put where it came from. And that's kind of too bad, because I go back and I find it, and somebody will say, well, where did you read that? And I'll go, I don't know. 40, 50 years later, I don't remember. So anyway, studying the Lamrim is priceless. People say it over and over and over again, but it is priceless because those are your tools. Those are your tools. They're clean, clear. They are your tools. They're not just something to memorize, but when you memorize them, then you check. Okay, they tell you what you're supposed to do is check your teacher. Check your teacher before you take them as a teacher. So what are the qualities? What are the 10 qualities of a guru? Then you look, do they have those qualities? Otherwise you don't know, you're just, there's a teacher, they're wearing these red robes, or they're said to have this PhD, but you don't know what of those qualities that they have. And you don't know what you should even be looking for. So I would recommend that it's very, very useful, and go slow. Just think, look, I've got the rest of my life. I don't know how long I have to live, but I should start now because death is definite. The time of death is indefinite. And the only thing that's going to help me then is my spiritual intelligence. So we start now thinking about that, recognizing the importance of having this, having all of our tools sharp so that we can pull them out from time to time. And we will, I'm telling you, you will use them. And they'll be so precious because you'll realize, oh yeah, that's the truth. I read about that. And now I'm seeing that if I use that tool, it really does work. So I was thinking this morning as I was sitting, and just to share that, because it inspires me when I think about how precious the opportunity is to just be on this cushion in this moment. You know, as Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, oh, I didn't die during the night. You know, here, I have another day. So, well, how will I use this day? How will I use it? Well, I need to inspire myself. You know, sometimes dogma shows up, you know, don't want to do that. I have to dispel that one, you know. I have to dispel that. Yeah. Because my experience is that once I actually start the practice, once I sit down and begin to practice and settle into one pointedness and do the relaxation meditation and come to the place of meditating on the breath, then the rest of the things that dogma doesn't want, we just let go. And slowly, slowly we settle in. So there's a prescription, there's a method, and there's a reason why. Because they work. But so often we're these busy lives, and we want to just get it done. But that's completely not the point. That's so totally the opposite of the point. But we think if I get down there and I say my mantras and I get my commitments done, it's no different than what we do during our day. It's no different. So the prescription of coming into your meditation place, you know, making some offerings, even one candle or one stick of incense to make the place sacred, to remember its sacredness, to remember that this is a place of worship. This is a place to sit. And then to sit down and sit well. So let's begin there. We already have this precious place with all these offerings. So now we will sit well. Find a good seat, as Geshe Tempa says, you know. Find a good seat and sit well. Sit fully. And as the posture is a critical aspect to allowing the energy to move through the body, we lengthen and straighten our spine. And settling into relaxation by coming to our crown. And allowing a sense of warmth to flow down. A soft, warm light, softening our brow and around our eyes. Coming down to the jaw. Letting all the facial muscles soften and release. And into the neck. Across the shoulders. And down your arms. To your fingertips. And coming back up to begin floating down your torso, this soft, warm light. Your upper back and your chest. Your mid back. All the way down to your sit bones. Let your belly be soft. Nothing to hold in. Nothing to hold on. Floating down your legs. All the way down to the soles of your feet, the tips of your toes. Let every cell of the body relax. As you remain upright, vigilant, in a space of stillness and connecting to the earth, feeling your body touching the mat or the cushion. A sense of stability and safety. How wonderful. Leaving the past behind. Not fantasizing about what will come next. And not analyzing the present moment. Simply aware of this fully relaxed body and the breath within it. Belly rises and falls. Breathing naturally with ease. From time to time, checking your posture, checking the status of your relaxation. Sometimes the shoulders lift, let them fall. Sometimes the belly gets tight, release it. Wherever you find any tension, breathe into it. Give it permission to completely soften and let go. And then to fine tune your awareness, you might bring it to the tip of the nose. The sensation as the breath flows out and back in again. The sentry at the gate. The sensation right there. Just the sensation. Without labeling. Without critiquing. Just knowing when the body breathes out and back in again. Knowing when the breath turns. And then think how wonderful it would be to wake in the morning, excited to explore the day, where nature's beauty surrounds us and everyone we meet inspires us with their generosity and love. Our goal is to live in such a world. And where we don't find it, to help create it. To grow our enlightened qualities, to become an awakened Buddha, that we might lead all beings there. Let that be our intention for today, for this practice, for our life. And in order to facilitate that, we call our Lama. To help us. Om, please come, great hero, the teacher of pure creation, destruction, self-arisen, the wisdom of emptiness, and that of. So now call to mind your Lama, your spiritual guide, your precious teachers. And in your mind's eye, have them come in the aspect of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha. And we turn to them, taking refuge, renouncing the suffering of cyclic existence, and turning to that which will protect us. First to our outer refuge of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and then to our inner refuge, the mind of enlightenment, seeing emptiness directly, and the Arya beings who have, and remembering our ultimate refuge, taking refuge with confidence in the knowledge that the nature of our own mind is wisdom. Its expression is clarity, and its compassion is all-pervasive. We surround ourselves by all the sentient beings and lead them in this practice of refuge. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha by my virtuous actions of giving and so on. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha by my virtuous actions of giving and so on. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha by my virtuous actions of giving and so on. May I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. And we grow our good heart. May all beings have equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings find good rebirths and the bliss of liberation. I will help us to have these. Please, Guru Buddha, bless me to be able to do this. Now we imagine that our Lama in the aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha, smiling blissfully at us, lovingly, kindly, melts into a small sphere of light, comes to our crown, descends to our heart, and merges inseparably with our own body, speech, and mind. And then we see this place where we are as a beautiful place made of light. And we fill it with offerings before we call Lama Tsongkhapa. May the ground everywhere be pure, free of roughness and all flaws, soft as a palm of the child's hand, smooth as polished blue sapphire. May all space with Samantabhadras, clouds of offerings be filled, offerings human and divine, both actual and imagined. So as we recite the mantra, it's just imagining that all of space is filled with delightful offerings. Om Namo Bhagavate Vajrasava Pramadana Tathagata Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tayata Om Vajre Vajre Maha Vajre Mahateja Vajre Mahavidya Vajre Mahabodhicitta Vajre Mahabodhi Mendo Pasam Kramana Vajra Sarva Karma Varana Vishodhana Vajra Soha Om Namo Bhagavate Vajrasava Pramadana Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tayata Om Vajre Vajre Maha Vajre Mahateja Vajre Mahavidya Vajre Mahabodhicitta Vajre Mahabodhi Mendo Pasam Kramana Vajra Sarva Karma Avarana Vishodhana Vajre Soha Om Namo Bhagavate Vajrasava Pramadana Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tayata Om Vajre Vajre Maha Vajre Mahateja Vajre Mahavidya Vajre Mahabodhicitta Vajre Mahabodhi Mendo Pasam Kramana Vajra Sarva Karma Avarana Vishodhana Vajre Soha. Having prepared the place and set up the offerings, we invoke Lama Tsongkhapa, our own guru, in the aspect of Lama Tsongkhapa. You who emanate on snow white clouds from the heart of Buddha Maitreya, Savior of 100 Devas, joyful realm Losang Dragpa, all-knowing King of Dharma, with your 2 heart disciples, I beseech you, please come before me. In space, on lion throne, lotus and moon, my kind guru, smiling with delight, is the supreme field for my faithful mind. Please forever abide and teach us. Your holy mind knows all phenomena, your fluent speech a sweet melody. For the ears of fortunate beings, your forms resplendent with fame's glory, I prostrate to you, who is meaningful to see, hear, and also bring to mind. Pure water and well-arranged flowers, fragrant incense, lights, perfume, and more. Clouds of offerings, real and imagined, I offer you, supreme merit field. Non-virtues of body, speech, and mind, transgressions of my 3 sets of vows, committed since beginningless time, all I confess deeply from my heart. In these times of degeneration, you made your life highly meaningful. Renounced all the 8 worldly concerns, strove for knowledge and realizations. In your extensive accomplishments, I rejoice deeply from within my heart. Lama in Dharmakaya's clear sky from clouds of wisdom and compassion. Please rain down vast and profound Dharma upon us fortunate disciples. I dedicate all of these virtues to the Dharma, all living beings, and especially that the heart teachings of Losang Drakpa remain forever. And then we make this offering. Everything in the universe. For this ground scented with perfume and covered with flowers, adorned by Mount Meru, 4 worlds, sun and moon, I imagine as a Buddha land, and then offer it. May all beings enjoy this pure land. I send forth this jeweled mandala to you, my precious Guru. So now we imagine having practiced these 7 limbs, made them offering of everything in the universe, that Lama Tsongkhapa is pleased. And his 2 heart disciples dissolve into him. So this is a sensation, it's a feeling. You know, it's an imagination, yes, but it's really to create the feeling that right here before us is our Lama in the aspect of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha. So we have this sense of connection. And they're pleased with our practice. And as they come to the crown of our head, having the 2 disciples melt into Lama Tsongkhapa, then he comes to the crown of our head. And as we recite the 5-line praise, he sends blessings, purifying blessings, down through his holy body, blessing our body, speech, and mind. Shenrei is a great treasure of objectless compassion. Manju Shri Lord of stainless wisdom, Vajrapani destroyer of Mara's armies, Tsongkhapa crown, jewel of Tibetan sages, Losang Drakpa, to you I pray. Migme tse wei ter chen chen rezi, dream kien pei wang po jam pel yang, du pu ma lu chom ze sang veda, Gang Chen Ke Pe Tsu Gyen Song Ka Pa Lo Sang Drak Pe Jabla So Adel Mig me tse we te chen chen rezi Dri me ken pe wang po jam pel yang Du pu ma du Chom ze sang wei da gang chen ke pe su gen song ka pa lo sang drag pe jabla so And then we request blessings. Oh, magnificent and precious fruit guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat above my head. Guide me with your great kindness and grant me realizations of your holy body, speech, and mind. So now with Lama Tsongkhapa above our crown, as we recite Om Ahum, white, red, and dark blue rays of light stream down from his three places, entering ours, purifying body, speech, and mind. Om. Feel that your body has been purified, receiving the blessings of Guru Lama Tsongkhapa's holy body, speech, and mind. And then we request, oh, magnificent and precious root guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat at my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and stay with me always until I achieve enlightenment. So now Lama Tsongkhapa melts into a small sphere of light. And we experience then our Lama, this small sphere of light, in the aspect of love, compassion, wisdom, and joy, begins to slowly descend down through the center of my body. A warmth pleasant, blissful. Coming to rest at the level of our heart. And as we inhale, let it be energized. And as we exhale, let it expand. Let it grow to fill our whole body with the wise, compassionate love of Guru Tsongkhapa. And feel that you are union oneness with this. How wonderful. And to believe in that. Energizing our enlightened qualities. And when you're ready, you can come back into the room. So, these tantric practices that we have been discussing, they are specifically designed to accomplish an extraordinary transformation as quickly as possible. But we do need to ripen ourselves with the various preliminaries. So we have said the common preliminaries are renunciation, bodhicitta, and the wisdom of emptiness. And the uncommon preliminaries are known as receiving the tantric empowerment or initiation, keeping our commitments, purifying obstacles, accumulating a store of positive energy, and gaining inspiration through the profound practice of Guru Yoga. We must abandon our ordinary limited view of ourselves. A low opinion keeps us satisfaction. And it only arises because we're ignorant of our basic, essentially pure nature. So we have to generate the strength and confidence that we can actually follow this radical approach to fulfillment. We have to know that enlightenment is possible, and people like us can actually achieve it. Do you think? Good. In the Buddhist tantric tradition, the source of our inspiration is the guru, the lama, the teacher, the spiritual guide. The root of the tantric path is unifying oneself with this source of inspiration through the practice of Guru Yoga. Tantric sadhanas, daily practices, typically begin with a practice very similar to what we did this morning, to Lama Tsongkhapa's Guru Yoga. Similar. We see ourselves becoming one with our spiritual guide. And we banish the self-pitying thought. We pause and identify with our innermost mind in oneness with the Guru, who has seen inseparable from all who have already achieved complete enlightenment. So we see our Lama as the manifestation of enlightenment. as a unification of all enlightened beings. The guru has two meanings, two levels of meaning. There's the relative object guru, who is our teacher, and there is the subjective level guru, who is none other than our own inner wisdom, our own fundamental clarity of mind. Now, we can see how different people respond to spiritual teachings from the same teacher, can we not? Spiritual teachings at the same time from the same teacher. You know, one might not even understand the concepts intellectually, and one might understand intellectually but can't penetrate their inner meaning. And another might go beyond mere words and experience total unification with the teacher's wisdom and compassion. In the same room, at the same time, hearing the same teachings. So these responses are said to be due to different levels of intellectual, spiritual evolution. The more in touch we are with our own inner guru, the more profound our understanding of the teachings will be. And this is what happens as we are doing our preliminary practices, you know, the foundational practices. We are getting in touch with this wisdom of reality. So practically speaking, there's only so much that a relative guru can do for us. Buddha said, I have shown you the path to freedom. Whether you achieve it or not is up to you. The practice of Guru Yoga is primarily a method for learning how to listen to the inner guru. Ordinarily, we don't listen to our inner voice of wisdom. We don't even hear it. And if we don't have living examples of inspiration in the aspect of the external guru, our inner wisdom remains weak and underdeveloped. It's the spiritual guide who makes the teachings come alive for us through their inspiration or blessings coming from an unbroken lineage of successive gurus. You know, it is said, from the lips of the guru to the ear of the disciple who gains the realizations, then from their lips to their students' ears, like that, in an unbroken lineage all the way back to Shakyamuni Buddha. When our gurus, our teachers, communicate in a way that touches us, that makes the teaching understandable. They become part of our mind, our own realization. These teachings become our own realization. You know, we have the Dharma aha. We go, yeah, okay, I know that. And Lama said, this is what's meant by inspiration or blessing. To receive the blessing of the guru, the inspiration of the guru. Just this realization, this understanding, which has become now one with our own mind. And we need an experienced guide to show us exactly how to put the teachings that we receive into practice. Tantra is very technical. It's internally technical. It is a technical system of development, and we need to understand how it goes together. Lama Yeshe gives an example of a person ordering a new Rolls Royce, and it was delivered in a pile of unassembled parts along with an instruction book. So one would need a highly skilled mechanic, or they would be lost to put that together. So in the same way, we need highly skilled mechanical tantric engineers. And to dispel feelings of doubt or incapability or cynicism about our own potential, we turn to living examples of purity and wisdom, purity and evolution, this purity that we see. The outer guru's importance is their example of living beyond selfishness, transcending the petty concerns of the world, while still living in the world. They're ones who speak and act from intuitive wisdom and who are truly dedicated to the welfare of others. And then we can have faith and conviction that these attainments are possible for ourselves as well. I think you would agree that our world today has an urgent need for peace and harmony. It doesn't manifest through mere words. We need examples of those who have made peace and harmony the center of their lives. We need an unification of our inner and outer guru. Our own enlightened potential has to be energized and inspired by contact with someone who's already developed this potential in full measure. Each tantric sadhana, or method of accomplishment, focuses on a meditational deity. I think you know. Many deities. And they embody a particular aspect of the fully evolved, enlightened mind, along with its own transformed environment, within which it functions to benefit others. So this combination of deity and transformed surroundings is known as a mandala. Each deity has its mandala. And to actualize a particular deity within ourselves, we have to first be introduced into their mandala by a qualified tantric master. So this is the initiation or empowerment. Each tantric deity also has an authentic, reliable, unbroken lineage. And it's through empowerment or initiation that we establish contact with this vital lineage of transmission. And this is the first of the uncommon preliminaries. Receiving an empowerment serves to awaken a special type of energy within us. It's actually a shared act of meditation. It's an intimate communication with the guru, which depends as much on the disciple's openness and level of development as it does on the guru's realizations. Tantric empowerment is an act of two consciousnesses sharing the same experience. It activates our penetration into the reality of all things. And it's awakening what already exists within us. So it's important to recognize that we already have these qualities of wisdom, skillful means, and compassion. With initiation, we activate the potential energy of enlightenment. And once we've received initiation into the practice of a particular meditational deity, we have permission to begin our daily practice of that deity's sadhana. And as I mentioned, generally speaking, one of the first meditations of the sadhana is the practice of Guru Yoga. So as we engage in this practice of Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, then it's like a preliminary or priming the pump to be able to engage in our tantric sadhanas. So here we visualize the main meditation deity of the sadhana that we're practicing, either in front of us or above our crown. And they're surrounded by the lineage masters, including our own spiritual guide, the guru from whom we receive the empowerment. And we ask for inspiration, just like we do in Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga. And in response, they merge with one another. They enter through our crown in the form of light. They descend down to our central channel and dissolve into our heart. And then at this point, dualistic appearances and conceptions dissolve into the clear space of emptiness. Often with the mantra Om Svabhava Shuddha Sarvadharma Svabhava Shuddhoham, which is all phenomena and I are pure by nature. So we meditate at that time on the feeling that our guru, who is inseparable or identical to the deity, and our own most subtle consciousness have become indistinguishably one taste. So as we practice this, we dissolve into emptiness, and we sit in this Mahamudra meditation. And at some point, we actually have the experience of union oneness with the Lama. We have that Dharma aha. Oh, my mind, my Lama's mind, Lord Buddha's mind, the deity's mind. They're all one taste. And we have a deeper experience into the true nature of reality. So the essence of the Guru's wisdom, the perfectly clear and radiant state of mind in which bliss and the realization of emptiness are inseparably unified. When we absorb with the Guru, we impress that wisdom on our fundamental mind. And we believe in that. So we believe in that. This is my mind. This is the Lama's mind. This is the deity's mind. So recalling our Guru's great kindness and concern for us, we think how wonderful, how fortunate that I've come under their care, like a loving mother or father. How wonderful. It's as if they've manifested solely for our benefit. And like that, a powerful connection is established. A closeness develops, and an inspiration can come quite quickly. This is the entire point of Guru Yoga practice. Whether or not we're in the physical presence of our Guru many, many times or one time, doing the practice and remembering the kindness of the Guru, it's the same. Some people think, oh, but I never see my Guru. Your Guru is in your heart. You have to remember that. So this powerful connection is made. And it really is a combination of Lama and disciple. The benefit is received through the power of really being present and unifying one's mind. So if we practice this identifying ourselves with the Guru's essential Buddha nature as much as possible, then during every moment of our life, when diluted mental energy arises, it can be transformed in such a way that it's digested into great wisdom. So this is the outstanding teaching of Tantra. The practice of Guru Yoga activates our own Buddha nature, seeing our essential oneness with the Guru. There's a really beautiful verse in the Guru Puja. You're my Guru, you're my Yidam, you're my Dakini and Dharma protector. From this moment until I attain full enlightenment, I need seek no refuge other than you in this life, Bardo, and all future lives. Hold me with your hook of compassion. Free me from all fears. Grant me all attainments. Be my unfailing friend and guard me from interferences. This verse is repeated 3 times, and at the end of 3 times, then the Guru melts into you and you become union oneness. So I was raised in the Christian tradition where there is a similar practice, the principle of one God, one absolute reality. And although God manifests as the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, or the Holy Spirit, God is essentially one. It's the principle of totality. In Tantra, we speak of many deities and many dakinis and dharma protectors and so on. But at a certain point, they're to be seen as one all-embracing totality. That's the fundamental issue of Tantra. You become that And when we think about mystic Christians too, there is this union with God. So it is interesting, it's interesting to have that. So it's possible to have a lot of intellectual knowledge about religion and still remain untouched by it. Our heart remains untouched and unaffected. Why is that? Why is our heart unaffected? Lama Yeshe says what's lacking is inspiration or blessing. We must be convinced by a heartfelt living experience of the existence, of the effectiveness of a potential spiritual reality, both inside us and outside us. And the Guru provides that inspiration. We see their love, their devotion, their wisdom. We see their compassionate, caring attitude. When we dissolve them into us, we think we're also absorbing those enlightened qualities, enabling them to take root in our heart. Bliss fills the body. Now, patience is required. Guru devotion proceeds gradually. We should not push. We allow the practices to develop at their own pace. And eventually, it's my experience that we come to appreciate the profundity of these Guru Yoga practices more and more. Tantric practices are designed not only to help us overcome our dependence on ordinary pleasures, but also our habitual acceptance of ordinary appearances and concepts. Since beginningless time, we've been brainwashed into believing in the ultimate reality of the world as experienced by our five senses. Now we're trying to break this deeply ingrained habit. And that's why we need to train over and over and over again. A major difficulty is that we have an easier time accepting the reality of our gross sensory experiences than we do believing in the reality of our visualizations, seeing our bodies made of light as just a game, and that our physical body is the real one. So we have to learn that both experiences are the same, existing only for the particular mind that's experiencing them. Neither has any ultimate reality from its own side. The major difference is that our ordinary senses keep us bound, while visualizations of conscious bodies of light and subtle practices of absorption of the Guru introduce us to the very subtle, fundamental level of our own being, where we can break free from this cyclic prison cell. It's natural to be skeptical. And the only way to overcome it is by becoming more and more familiar with our own inner reality, until eventually it's undeniable. It's through practicing Guru Yoga and other transformative methods that follow from it that familiarity with the deeply blissful character of our own mind is achieved. Most of us are unaware that in addition to our gross body and mind, we have a more subtle level of both. Within the boundaries of our gross body, which is subject to death and decay, there's a far more subtle, a much more subtle body. It's called the Vajra body. Vajra is indestructible, like a diamond. And like our perishable physical body is pervaded by ordinary nervous system, this subtle Vajra body is pervaded by thousands of channels through which flow the energy winds and drops that are the source of the bliss of highest Yoga Tantra practice. And like our essentially pure mind, this subtle body exists within us right now. And it's the job of the tantric practitioner to discover and make use of it. Once we merge with our essentially pure nature, all restrictions are overcome. And then one attains the radiant body of light of the deity, not as a goal, but as a reality. So not going into detail about the Vajra body, but a brief discussion about the central channel is helpful. So the central channel, the Shushuma or Avadhuti, runs in a straight line from the crown of our head down to the base of our spine. And along it are several focal points known as chakras or energy wheels. And the most important chakra is the one located at the level of our heart. It's the home of our very subtle mind. And this very subtle mind and wind have been with us since time without discoverable beginning. It's sometimes referred to as the fundamental mind or residential mind. Although this subtle mind has been with us all along as a manifestation of the universal nature of reality, it doesn't have much chance to function because of the continual arising of our many gross states of mind. But we have to remember that these gross states of mind are like tourists, temporary visitors who come and go in constant movement. But they completely overwhelm the subtle mind. The activity of mind depends on their supporting energy winds and on where these winds are traveling. So if they're traveling in any one of the thousands of channels other than the central channel, these winds activate the gross tourist mind, as Lama calls it, that give rise to the superstition and confusion of our ordinary life experience. But when these winds enter the central channel, gross minds subside, and the very subtle mind of clear light arises instead. With the dissolution of the energy winds into the central channel, the environment in which our gross mind normally functions automatically disappears. The tourist department is closed, and our superstitious thoughts can't come and go. And in this resulting quietude, then our original fundamental consciousness, fundamental mind, awakens. So this process of awakening this fundamental pure mind automatically occurs at the time of death. But most are not trained to take advantage of it and rarely recognize it. One of the main jobs of the tantric yogi and yogini is to train themselves to not only recognize this blissful consciousness at the time of death, but to awaken this penetrating clear light mind during their life in meditation, and then gain complete control over it. Using this mind of clear light, tantric practitioners can use this powerfully concentrated mind to meditate on the emptiness of self-existence, to penetrate the ultimate nature of reality, and free themselves from all delusions while experiencing this undescribable blissful energy. So the unity of great bliss and the simultaneous comprehension of emptiness, this experience is known as Mahamudra, the Great Seal, and it is the quickest path to full enlightenment. So this dissolution occurs at the death time, but we are typically reluctant to examine or even think about it. But not examining how our mind works, we generally think of death as negative. However, that's just a projection. In fact, death can give us tremendous peace and joy. Death isn't some sudden terrifying annihilation. It's a gradual process during which our mind grows more and more and more fine and subtle. Death is also definite. It will come. So it makes really good sense to become familiar with the gradual process as much as we can now. If we wait until the moment of death, it'll be too late, won't it? The Sutra and Tantra teachings diagnose the problem of cyclic existence in different ways with different solutions. According to Sutra, the root of samsaric suffering is ego grasping, the wrong view of ego identity. And the antidote is to remove this wrong view. Tantra doesn't negate that sutra view, but it offers a different radical approach. According to these advanced teachings, the root of our problem lies in our ordinary, uncontrolled experiences of death and what happens after death. Tantra offers a meditation in which we transform our ordinary experiences of death, the intermediate state, and rebirth into the enlightened experience of a Buddha. The tantric antidote is taking the problem as the cure, the resultant path, taking the result, using the forces that generally confuse and cause suffering. We use those forces of death, intermediate state, and rebirth to bring about clarity and self-fulfillment instead. To understand how Tantra handles the problem of death, bardo, or intermediate state, and rebirth, we have to have a little bit of an understanding about the three bodies of a Buddha. So in the practice of Tantra, one is manifesting these three bodies. They're kayas, the three bodies of a Buddha. So when all the veils obscuring our mind are removed and all the positive potentials have been developed, there is a simultaneous achievement of the three bodies of a Buddha. The truth body, Dharmakaya, the enjoyment body, the Sambhogakaya, and the emanation body, the Nirmanakaya. The Dharmakaya is the unlimited, unobstructed mind of an enlightened being. And the other two are manifestations of that mind. The Dharmakaya is the accomplishments of one's own purpose, while the other two are for others' purpose, manifesting in forms that unenlightened beings can relate to. The experience of these three kayas is the experience of total enlightenment. Turning the experience of death, bardo, and rebirth into the path to enlightenment, Lama says, is not a fantasy. We can definitely accomplish this great aim. From the sutra point of view, our present body is a hindrance. It's decaying, it's prone to sickness, it attracts misery. But Tantra takes the opposite view. The human body is regarded as most precious because it has all the necessary equipment for reaching enlightenment in one lifetime. It's made up of the four elements of earth, water, fire, and air, and the energies associated with them. And it contains the red and white drops needed for arousing the blissful energy of the Kundalini experience. So we shouldn't waste this precious opportunity. When the totality of one's enlightened nature is realized, the three bodies are achieved simultaneously. But in tantric practice, these evolve gradually in sequence, mirroring the natural unfolding of death, the intermediate state, and rebirth. As the tantric practitioner engages in a daily rehearsal of this process. So there's specific meditation of these stages of death. Death is a separation of the mind from the body, which occurs gradually as each element of the body, earth, water, fire, and air, in turn lose their support. As each dissolves, it produces an internal and an external sign. Tantrikas learn these, become familiar with them. When ordinary people die, they're out of control. They're bewildered as their body elements go out of balance and stop functioning harmoniously. Death can be a scary experience. But for someone who's prepared, the same vision that causes panic in others can bring extraordinary peace. For advanced practitioners who have trained their minds well, each stage of the dissolution process brings an ever-increasing clarity and insight. I remember His Holiness the Dalai Lama mentioning practicing death 8 times a day. And at one point saying, kind of from a scientific point of view, looking forward to it, to see how this works, to go through that process. According to Buddhist psychology, whether an object brings satisfaction or not depends on a decision made beforehand by our consciousness. For instance, even before we see a particular thing, our mind has already been thinking, oh, that will make me happy. So then when we actually contact it with our eyes, we think, oh, yes, this is very nice. And the same is true for negative reactions. So if our consciousness has already decided that we don't like a certain person, then when we actually meet them, we'll see nothing but unpleasant. In other words, all seemingly really good things that we like and all seemingly really bad things that we dislike are creations of our mind. So we've talked about this before, but relating this to the death experience, Buddhism teaches that the way to a happy death is by recognizing exactly what's happening without being misled by the confused appearances that arise. During our life, we experience one dissatisfaction after another because we mistakenly believe that what appears is good or bad and truly exist in that way. So we spend our time and energy running after this and avoiding that. During our lifetime, we build up this strong habit of relating to things in this alternatively greedy and fearful way. So it's only to be expected that at the time of death, when everything seems to be falling apart, we'll be overwhelmed by confusion. So the solution is to learn to see all things as a mere appearance to the mind. We said, like a reflection in a mirror, like a dream, lacking even one atom of true existence. So the same is true of the visions during the dying process. The key during both life and death is to recognize illusions as illusions, projections as projections, fantasies as fantasies, and in this way, become free. For an ordinary person, the absorption during the death time, the absorption of these elements is uncontrolled when we're barely conscious of them. Our mind is confused or distracted. But those who have trained well maintain clear awareness of everything that's happening during the process. They know what will come next, and they understand that everything they're perceiving is merely an appearance to their dying mind. They're not frightened by what they see. Instead, as their mind grows more and more subtle, their awareness of emptiness, of true existence, becomes more and more penetrating, culminating in clear light of death. And this very subtle mind mixes indistinguishably with emptiness in an experience of great bliss. For such a person, death has become the precious opportunity for perfecting the wisdom of non-duality. The ordinary death process has been transformed into the enlightened Dharmakaya experience. So it is said that the Dharmakaya experience of non-duality is beyond words, expressions, and concepts. We need to touch this experience ourselves and go beyond the words used to describe it. And that's why Tantra puts so much emphasis on action rather than theory. Lama's teacher told him once, at some point you have to abandon the philosophical way of understanding things and go beyond debate and argument, remaining in an intellectual preconception or conceptual analysis can prevent us from entering the profound meditative experiences. So it's important to know when to relax and let go and allow the mind to settle into its natural state of clarity. Lama said there's a time to use the intellect and there's a time to put it aside. So this would be the death process. And after death comes the intermediate state. And for ordinary people, once the clear light is finished, they enter the intermediate state, the bardo, where the mind is completely out of control. Our insubstantial bardo body can pass through matter without any obstruction. So we enter without hindrance into whatever situation of craving that the mind throws at us. Well-trained practitioners can transform the bardo experience into the path to enlightenment by assuming a clear, radiant body of light instead of a diluted bardo body. And in this way, they transform the ordinary bardo into an enlightened sambhogakaya, or enjoyment body experience. And then, just as the ordinary process of death and bardo are uncontrolled, compelled by the force of our deluded grasping, so is our ordinary rebirth. We're eventually blown by the winds of our deluded actions, or karma, entering into the mother's womb. And from this, reborn into another impure beginning, where we're subject to the miseries of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Our mind flowing from a previous life, continuing under the compulsion of insecure craving, repulsion, and ignorance to create further causes for suffering. But instead of an ordinary birth, a trained practitioner can see their future parents as male and female deities, and themselves as a deity as well. Depending on one's practice and level of control, one might take rebirth in a pure land where everything is conducive to the attainment of enlightenment. With full awareness and complete control of their next life, ordinary, uncontrolled rebirth can be transformed into the enlightened experience of the Nirmanakaya, or the emanation body. So this is a really brief account of the way a tantric practitioner can transform ordinary death, bardo, and rebirth into the three bodies of an enlightened being. When we replace our ignorance with wisdom and transform these three, we'll be free from the vicious cycle forever, rather than searching for happiness and only finding suffering. The aim of tantric practice is to free ourselves from this vicious cycle by training our mind to overcome the tyranny of the ordinary deluded appearances, by preparing beforehand for what we must eventually encounter as the life draws to an end and another begins. We're generating the ability to substitute an enlightened experience of the three bodies of a Buddha for the usual confusion of death, bardo, and rebirth. So we'll stop there and we'll dedicate this good energy take a break and come back at, I think, 1 o'clock your time. So let's dedicate here. I think maybe we'll go to page, I think it's 25. That was a brief overview of the long REM path for those of you who can speed read. I'll just think, it's not always easy to sit and listen to these teachings, and sometimes it feels quite boring, and sometimes it doesn't feel like it can penetrate. But the more that we hear them, the more we think about them, the more they come, even just getting a first taste, then that plants a seed so that the next time you hear it, the next time you think about it, it goes a little bit deeper. So don't worry if you didn't, really become union oneness with it at this time. Let's dedicate the energy that we have created together. May all beings everywhere, plagued by suffering of body and mind, find an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms, the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, there too may I remain to dispel the misery of the world. By merit of this virtue, may I become Buddha and lead all beings, everyone, into that enlightened state. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow, and may that born not decline, but increase more and more. In the snowy mountain paradise, you're the source of all happiness and good. Powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig, Zig, please remain until samsara ends. Savior of the snowlands, teachings and beings, you clarify the path that unifies emptiness and compassion. Lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso, may all your wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Great upholder of the moral way, bountiful bearer of everything good, accomplishing beautiful prayers, honoring the three precious jewels, sustaining and spreading Buddha's words. Kyabje Zopa Rinpoche, our precious Lama, please live long. And to all the gurus, each one, may their lives be long and fruitful. All those on our prayer lists, may they be healed. Those who've passed away, may they have fortunate rebirths. And anyone in her own life experiencing difficulties, we dedicate to their welfare. Okay, we put that in the bank. So in case anything happens between now and the next time we do that. Okay, dears. I'll see you. Yeah, you're so welcome. I'll see you soon. Okay, I hope.